I retired about 9 months ago myself. And before that, I was a financial advisor for over 20 years. And this is my honest advice to anyone working past 55 years old. And frankly, this is why I started my YouTube channel, was to share this message. And that is to be careful. These next 10 years between 55 and 65 are super important. They're what I call the youth of your senior years. And we all need to be thoughtful and deliberate about how we spend that time. Yes, if you keep working to 55 to 60 to 65, you'll have more money than if you quit working at 59 or 62. But it's not just about your bank account. It's also about optimizing your life. It's about squeezing all the juice out of what I call the youth of your senior years and having as much fun as you can. Because unfortunately, at some point, most of us are going to lose our health before we turn 80 years old. There are some, but there's not many 80-year-olds that don't have serious health issues, that haven't slowed down a little bit. We all know some, but we also know a lot of people that unfortunately have had a heart attack, have had a stroke, have had a cancer diagnosis, and they cannot do the things that they could have done between 55 and 65. So is early retirement for everybody? Absolutely not. But do you want to be thoughtful and deliberate and look back when you're 80 and saying, I'm really happy with how I spent my time. I squeezed all that juice out of life while I could, while I had my health, while it was easy to travel, while it was easy to learn maybe a new sport, learn to surf or take up road cycling and get a new group of friends. So I urge you to be thoughtful and deliberate on this time. Too many of us just cruise through that period, right? Here in the United States, the default is we retire at 65. So many of us never think about, gee, do I have enough money that I could retire now? Do I want to continue working? And be careful, because as a financial advisor, I knew the families I worked with really, really well. And there was a theme where people would say, oh, the stress is getting harder. It's not as much fun at work anymore. Boy, hey, Azul, when can I retire? And because there was such a strong stock market over the last 30 years, many people reached that point in their 50s instead of their 60s. It was a unique time. But interestingly and surprising to me is when folks that I knew did not love their job reached the point that they could retire, it was really hard for them to pull the trigger, and many did not pull the trigger. And one of the advantages of being a financial advisor is we get to learn not just from our own lives, but from the lives of the hundreds of clients that we work with. And many of those folks that could have retired at 55, at 59, at 62, went on later and unfortunately lost their health and regretted not taking advantage of that time. So I want to encourage you to think about, what is the 65-year-old version of yourself going to say? What is the 70 and the 75 and the 80-year-old version of yourself? My name's Azul. Let's say your name's John or Susie. What is the John or Susie that has lost their health? What is that person going to say? And how might that person give you advice on what to do? Now, we can optimize on our bank account, and obviously we're going to have more money if we work right up until the day that we die. But none of us want that. And the decision on when we retire is complicated. And we need to think about the different factors. Definitely you want to be sure that you have enough money, that you're not going to run out of money. You're not going to have to worry about running out of money. But how much is that? Very few people know how much that is to have that confidence. If you work with a financial advisor is going to say, they're going to do something called the Monte Carlo simulation. They're going to ask you, what are your expenses? What does retirement look like to you? And they're going to run this statistical tool that'll give you a probability of success. And they'll say, you have an 85% likelihood of never running out of money during your lifetime. You have a 90, 95%. And understand that there's all kinds of unknowns in that forecast, right? The tax rates are a huge unknown. Inflation is a huge unknown. What type of return we're going to get in the stock market is an unknown. How long we're going to live is an unknown. Heck, we don't even know what income tax rates are going to be in 12 months, in 2026. Right now, the Trump tax cuts are set to expire. Is that going to be extended? Is that not? And taxes are a big piece. So know that when you work with a financial advisor, it's based on a lot of assumptions. And I think working with a financial advisor is the gold standard. But I also know that many people are never going to work with a financial advisor. And for those folks, I urge it not to use an Excel spreadsheet, to not use Google Sheets. It's just too easy to make a mistake. There is software that's designed for people like you and I that want to come up with our own financial plan. There's several different providers of that. The software that I like is called Bolden. It used to be called New Retirement. If you look in the show description, you'll see a link that will support the channel. This video is not sponsored by Bolden, but I am an affiliate, so you'll be supporting the channel. So look for that link if you're interested. It's very affordable. As I record this, it's $120 a year to get that, and I believe they have a free 2-week trial. So one is your financial plan. Are you sure that you're not going to run out of money? And the reality, the truth is you're never sure. You're never 100% sure. But what I would caution you is, if you do the analysis and it says you have an 85% likelihood, an 80% likelihood of never running out of money, yes, the gold standard is 95 or 97% or 99% likelihood of never running out of money. But that comes with a cost. And so understanding that an 85% likelihood of never running out of money means there's only a 15% chance that you're going to have to tweak things, right? We're not going to fly that plane down to the ground if we find out, unfortunately the stock market's not doing well, and maybe we have to spend less, or maybe we need to take a part-time job, or do consulting back to the firm that we retired from. But that's a 15% or a 20% likelihood. But if you give up another 5 years of your life to raise that certainty to 95, 97, 99%, that's 100% likely that you're giving up those 5 years. So my message is to be thoughtful, to be deliberate, to do what's right for you. I'm not saying you should retire early, but I urge you to not cruise on autopilot through the youth of your senior years, and to be thoughtful and deliberate, and to think about what does 80-year-old, 75-year-old you advise you to do now if you're under 65 about when to retire. And if you like videos on this where I focus on making good decisions, the YouTube algorithm says this is the next video of mine that you should watch. Thanks for watching this one. Bye-bye.